So here we are with another game slate of NFL action this coming weekend. But after this weekend, we'll be halfway there and we're looking good now. But for now, we're almost halfway there to that mid-season point of this 2023 NFL season. So here we are, the week that is to come, week 9 of this NFL season. And yeah, we have some more games to talk about, ladies and gentlemen. But before we do, we have a couple more teams that are on bye-bye on their 1-week vacation before they get to endure the second half of this NFL season. So those teams include the Denver Broncos, the Detroit Lions, the Jacksonville Jaguars, and, well, look who ended up on this list this week. My San Francisco 49ers. They definitely need the vacay after getting their butts whooped for 3 games straight. And, well, so does the fan base. That includes me, ladies and gentlemen. That includes me. For the sake of my mental sanity as a Niners fan. But nonetheless, we at least get to enjoy some of the games that are to come this weekend, which, at least there are a few games on this list that are certainly going to be interesting to watch. So anyway, we already kicked things off on Thursday Night Football, only on Amazon Prime Video, as Kenny Pickett for the Pittsburgh Steelers connected with his receiver, Deontay Johnson, late in the game with the touchdown to give them the lead. And Will Levis led a potential game-winning drive, but unfortunately, near the goal line, Quan Alexander, the linebacker for Pittsburgh, iced the game with an interception on Levis as the Pittsburgh Steelers beat the Tennessee Titans 20-16. But nonetheless, good effort by Will Levis. He looked pretty good in that game, so give him credit to that. But unfortunately, just didn't equate to a win. Going to the Sunday slate of games, going to the early morning portion, you have to wake up early as o'clock to see this game. And that's going to take place in Frankfurt, Germany, pal. As the Miami Dolphins take on the Kansas City Chiefs, both teams at 6-2. The Dolphins are coming off a win at home against New England, 31-17, taking both games of the season, but against New England. But the Chiefs, though, they split their season series against their division rival, the Broncos, and also allowing their first loss to Denver for the first time in forever, as an ill Patrick Mahomes lost to Denver 24-9 in Denver last week. So they're looking to bounce back. They're also looking to cut a turnover problem that they had in that loss to Denver. Meanwhile, for the Dolphins, they're facing another valid, legit contender in Kansas City. And, well, this is another test for them. They already failed the first test against the Bills. They already failed the second test against the Philadelphia Eagles. Now, against probably the ultimate test, Patrick Mahomes and the Chiefs, they got to find a way to beat them here. I think they will, but they have to show up. They have to show up in this game. And then in a battle of uncertain quarterbacks back in the States, you have the Minnesota Vikings taking on the Atlanta Falcons at 4-4. The Vikings beat the Packers 24-10, but at a very high cost. They lost Kirk Cousins for the season with the torn Achilles. Kirk Cousins' first major injury in his career. Very unfortunate. He did get successful surgery early this week. And for the Atlanta Falcons, they lost to the Tennessee Titans 28-23. Desmond Ridder got benched, mainly because of a concussion, but make that for what you will. But in going into this game, it's about the quarterback situation for both teams. Quarterback Jaren Hall, their fifth round pick, is going to get the start because, well, there's no more Kirk Cousins for the Minnesota Vikings. And the Vikings also traded at the deadline for Cardinals quarterback Josh Dobbs, who was replaced by Clayton Tune for Arizona, after the loss to, I think it was Baltimore, back in week 8. But nonetheless, Josh Dobbs is not starting this game because he needs time to learn the playbook, as they stated. So you're getting Jaren Hall this week for Vikings fans out there. Meanwhile, for Atlanta, you're getting Taylor Heineke going under center after Desmond Ridder once again was benched by head coach Arthur Smith. So honestly, I really don't know who to go for in this game. So I'm just going to pick the Falcons. So now you have the Seahawks at 5-2 taking on the Baltimore Ravens at 6-2. Big game for both of these teams. You have Geno Smith and the Seattle offense facing a Ravens defense and pretty much a test of will, a test of might, as they say in Mortal Kombat. So it's going to be an interesting one. Last week, the Seahawks beat the Browns and their legit defense 24-20. And then the Ravens beat the Cardinals 31-24. So I'm going to go with the Ravens because, sometimes their offense is a little shaky, but I think they can find a way to dissect that Seahawks defense. The Arizona Cardinals at 1-7 take on the 4-3 Cleveland Browns. Like I said, the Cardinals lost to the Ravens. The Browns lost to the Seahawks. So pretty much, as I said before, the Cardinals are turning to their 5th round quarterback, Clayton Tune, now that Josh Dobbs has been shifted off to Minnesota. And Kyler Murray is still trying to ease his way back into the team, from his torn ACL. He is practicing, but they're still giving him a little bit more time. Meanwhile, for Deshaun Watson, he is practicing. He's trying to give that shoulder a go, but you don't know. You don't know, ladies and gentlemen. That quarterback situation is very weird. It's very weird, ladies and gentlemen. So we're still not sure if it's going to be him or PJ Walker starting another game. But either way, I do think that the Browns defense, regardless of the quarterback situation, they'll bounce back against a very crappy Arizona team. The LA Rams at 3-5 take on the 2-5 Green Bay Packers. Both teams are really struggling at the midway point of the season. The Rams got their butts whooped by the Cowboys on the road, 48-20 last week. Meanwhile, the Packers still struggling with Jordan Love against the Minnesota Vikings, 24-10. For the Rams, who knows if they'll have Matthew Stafford for this game, who suffered a thumb injury in that loss to the Cowboys. He didn't even finish that game. Meanwhile, for Jordan Love, he's still struggling. He is still struggling to throw to his receivers, keep the ball turnover free. But, he may get a break if Stafford doesn't play. He might be able to dissect some of that Rams defense. It's just a matter of, can that offensive line protect him from Aaron Donald from that pressure? We'll see. But I'm going with the Packers if Stafford doesn't play. The Tampa Bay Bucks at 3-4 take on the also 3-4 Houston Texans. Last week in Week 8, the Bucks lost to the Bills 24-18 in that Thursday nighter. The Bucks almost won that game. If Chris Godwin caught that Hail Mary, was a little bit more aware of that Hail Mary. But nonetheless, the Texans lost to the Panthers 15-13 on a late field goal. The Baker Mayfield and the Bucks, they really need to snap this 3-game losing streak. If, even though the NFC South is very crappy, they have to keep pace with, the Falcons, the Saints. They just gotta find a way to snap this streak, man. Because they're fighting, but it's not equating to the wins that they're expecting. Meanwhile, you have CJ Stroud still performing at a much better level than people expected. But last week, he got a little bit of a reminder that he's still a rookie. He still has his growing pains as well. But he's looking to get back on track against the Tampa Bay Bucks, but probably not in this game. You have the Washington Commanders at 3-5 taking on the 2-6 New England Patriots. Both teams lost their Week 8 matchups. The Commanders had a game that they could have won, but unfortunately didn't against the Eagles, 38-30. The Patriots lost to the Dolphins, as I said before. So for the Commanders, it's clear where they're going, especially on their defense. You pretty much don't have a pass rush anymore now that you traded away two of your top edge rushers in Montez Sweat and Chase Young. They're gone to different teams now. So basically, you're asking yourself, where's your pass rush going to come from? Where's your defense now? It's pretty much nowhere. Meanwhile, for the Patriots, after a good game against the Buffalo Bills, you had an okay game against the Miami Dolphins, but then just kind of fell apart in the second half. So let's see which one shows up here against Washington. So, I'll go with the Patriots, I guess. The Chicago Bears at 2-6 take on the 4-4 New Orleans Saints. The Bears lost to the Chargers 30-13 in that Sunday night atrocity that, America got to see. And then the Saints beat the Colts 38-27. With Justin Fields still out with the dislocated thumb, Tyson Bagent is going to get another start. And Derek Carr and the Saints, on the other hand, they looked all right against a very depleted Colts secondary. That's not really saying much, but nonetheless, they're looking to trying to maintain some consistency because, they're wildly inconsistent. And so I'm going to go with the Saints. Then we get into the afternoon slate of games. The Indianapolis Colts at 3-5 take on the 1-6 Carolina Panthers. So for the Colts, like I said, they lost to the Saints because of their secondary. And the Panthers got their first win of the season over the Texans. So for that Colts defense that I mentioned before, they're allowing way too many explosive plays. I get it. They're pretty beamed up with injuries, but man, it's like they're not hitting home in the pass rush. Their secondary is not getting any like pass breakups, stops, like nothing. Way too many explosive plays that they allowed last week against New Orleans. Meanwhile, for Bryce Young, he got his first win of the season. Pretty good feel-good moment. Now he's just looking for a second. But I'm not sure if he'll get it here, but who knows? I'll go with the Colts on this one. The New York Giants at 2-6 take on the 3-5 Las Vegas Raiders. And this game is probably interesting for all the wrong reasons, especially if you're a Raiders fan. Probably not the ones out there in Vegas, but probably overall, I guess. So for last week, the Giants lost to the Jets in a unexciting OT thriller, 13-10. Meanwhile, for the Raiders, they lost to the Lions on Monday night, 26-14. And I do believe Daniel Jones is expected to return from his neck injury, but he won't have his tight end Darren Waller with them. And then for the Raiders, oh boy, this week was some interesting stuff, ladies and gentlemen, especially in the dawn of a Tuesday night. So what exactly happened was, try to make this in the Cliff Notes version, both their head coach Josh McDaniels and the general manager Dave Ziegler were fired on a Tuesday night, a day after they lost to the Lions. And then now you have an interim head coach and linebackers coach Antonio Pierce being that interim general manager. And he had some interesting things to say that, well, I can't necessarily remember, but yeah, I'm not sure if I want to repeat that. Meanwhile, now you have Jimmy Garoppolo being benched. Yes. The Jimmy Garoppolo that said, oh, the quarterback situation's interesting here in San Francisco. And now, kind of ironic, now he gets benched for rookie Aiden O'Connell. So Aiden O'Connell's going to be starting pretty much the rest of the way, I guess. So this is kind of a situation that the Giants should be taking advantage of, but we will see. I'm going with the Giants. Then probably in the big afternoon matchup for Sunday, the Dallas Cowboys at 5-2 taking on the 7-1 Philadelphia Eagles. I'm going to be really paying attention to this one, and certainly Niners fan will be taking note of this one as well. The Cowboys whooped the Rams' yellow and gold candy asses, the yellow and blue candy asses, mind you, 43-20. Meanwhile, for the Eagles, they beat the brakes off of the Washington Commanders. Not really. They're actually in a very close one, as I mentioned before. So this is a major test for the Cowboys all around. The last time they were in such a major test, well, they massively failed against the 49ers, or at least so we thought. But nonetheless, they're always in this dogfight against the division rival Eagles. So we'll see how it goes this time around in this latest installment of their rivalry. Meanwhile, for Jalen Hurts and the Eagles, they had some issues on the offense and some issues on the defensive end as well. But now this is a chance to potentially close the gap a little bit on that division with a win over Dallas. They've already beaten Washington twice. They swept the division, but they kind of struggled a little in both of those games. So maybe it's time a little wake up call for them. So might go with the Eagles a little, unfortunately. So Sunday Night Football for week number 9. You have the Buffalo Bills at 5-3 taking on the 4-3 Cincinnati Bengals. You had the Bills beating the Bucks last week, and then the Bengals beat my 49ers 31-17. The pain that I'm still feeling from that game. But nonetheless, the Bengals offense, credit to them. They looked good in that game. They rightfully beat our asses. And now they're looking to carry that major momentum from a dominant win over to back home facing the Bills in a major game. Probably a major game at the midway point of the season for both of these teams. Meanwhile, for the Bills, even though Josh Allen and his offense are looking, they're looking dandy. Their defense, it's been hit hard with a lot of injuries. And now they're still searching for answers and key stops to help its offense to try and, not get into situations where they have to rely so much on, Josh Allen having to answer back whenever the opposing team scores. So, unfortunately, that probably won't be the case here. I'm going to go with the Bengals. Then for our Monday Night Football game, To close out week number 9, we have the LA Chargers at 3-4 taking on the 4-3 New York Jets. The Chargers, they beat the brakes off the Bears. It's the Bears. What do you expect? The Jets beat the Giants in that unexciting OT thriller. So basically, it's a team of polar opposites. The Jets passing offense of Zach Wilson, it's really struggling once again, and then it's going up against a Chargers pass defense that really is not great. So which one's going to give here, ladies and gentlemen? Which one is going to give? I'm not really sure, but we'll see. So I'm going to go with the Chargers. They have the better quarterback in Justin Herbert, but he's also going up against a tough Jets defense. So something's got to give here. Something has to give here. So anyway, those are my week 9 picks, my preview for this upcoming slate of games for the NFL season. And let me know your thoughts in the comments below on who you're going with. But hey, at least for 1 week, I don't have to worry about my Niners. And if you're like me, you get to sit back, relax, and watch all the chaos, or maybe not so much chaos, whatever happens. Any given Sunday, as they always like to say. But anyway, that is it for me. And as always, keep that lasagna very cold in the fridge with your takes on the world of sports. And until next time, peace out.